Hey y'all, I have been very angry. um what happens when you see something for the very first time, when you see it from a new perspective, you tend to be a bit radical regarding that matter. And I find that that's what's happened to me as I've seen that, in fact, Alice Walker was correct. I remember when Color Purple came out, everybody was like, well, what is going on? Why is she bashing black men? Why is she bashing? She was not bashing black men. She was raising up the plight of the black woman. And if in fact that felt like bashing black men, then probably you are one of the black men who were causing a great deal of pain to black women. So I've learned that now. I've learned it in a very painful way, but I've learned it just the same, and that learning has made me better. So I balanced out. My rage is not such as it was, but I wanted to talk about the slap. The slap heard around the world that has now caused the Tiger Woodsing of Will Smith and the pedifying of Chris Rock. I want to talk about how black people have been the pets for white people. How being a pet for a white person is a precarious position. And my nails are my nails are. I remember Roots. If anybody remembers Roots and Miss Ann, you remember Miss Ann. Kizzy was Miss Ann's pet. They were best friends. She taught Kizzy how to read. And when the time came to take her position in white womanhood, she abandoned her and threw her away. So I want to talk about how Will Smith was once the white man's pet, or the white person's pet. I want to talk about how that is not an enviable position to be in. I want to talk about why mental health is not at the top of this discussion, because obviously a man with all Will Smith has to lose is not out here willy-nillying it, if you will, just walking up slapping people. No, it's my opinion that his wife and his children are in a vulnerable emotional position. And I have my theories on why that is. But I also want to talk about how mental health is very important to the black community. How we've been gaslighted for all these years. There are white people, and I'm sorry I have to keep saying white people. I mean the collective. I'm not talking about every white person. I'm talking about the collective. Okay, I'm talking about as I've spoken about the collective of black men. In other words, the good ones need to haul the bad ones in. And I'm going to talk about the pattern of the liberal white person as opposed to the so-called racist white person, the so-called progressive white person, who is doing more harm, in my opinion, than the racist white person. I want to talk about mental health. How we are broken. We are walking around broken and not addressing that fact. How we use laughter way too much. How we lean on Christianity. To comfort us in our apathy. How I made it over. When it's all over, I shall wear a crown. No. Mm-mm. Not when it's all over, I shall wear a crown. We're always talking about crossing over the Jordan and how when I get over, how I got over. No, we have things to do here. And it's not going to look pretty. It's not going to look cute. It's not going to look pious. It's not going to look, uh, hello, Connie Parker Glass. It's not going to look cute. And it's not going to look pristine and white. I curse a lot here lately, and I'm sure people are offended by that. But I'm not trying to look pious for you. I'm not trying to be your Christian. I'm being a Christian for God. So Black people need to get into mental health. We need to have this conversation. Will Smith did not go up on that stage in his right mind. And this is not me excusing what he did. And I have to own my position on the matter. My position on the matter remains clear. And I stand by that. Keep your mouths off of Black women. It's quite simple. It's quite simple. And Chris Rock is a repeat offender. I knew he would find some sort of way to speak on a Black woman, to bring her down. And I don't appreciate that. And I took pleasure. I will admit, I took pleasure in the slap heard around the world, because keep your mouths. That's my stance nowadays. That's where I am nowadays. Off of Black women. But we need to talk about the mentality of Chris Rock and why he feels the need to do that in the first place. We need to talk about the mental health of Will Smith and why he broke like he did. We need to talk about the mental health of Jada Pinkett Smith and why she operates as she does. We need to talk about her children and why they do the same. We need to have the conversation about mental health in this country. Gotta have it for Black people. And we cannot have it through the lens of Christianity. I don't care how Christian you are. We must have it through the lens of humanness. The fact that we are an animal, the fact that we are a spirit in a human body, and we are having an experience, and we can't just be exclusively spiritual without addressing honestly the humanness, the animalness. And that includes our mental health. That includes our physical health. That includes our existence on this side. Not how I made it over, but what am I doing here? Jesus himself. Let me tell you something. It's a time for all things. There is a divine rage which Jesus demonstrated in the temple when he saw people abusing, standing in between God and his people. He got angry. I'm angry. And I don't care if it don't look cute to you. We need to have this conversation. Our people are broken. And there is good reason for it. And we need to have the discussion on how we can make us whole as we can be on this side. Oh, my phone. Yeah, the bootlegness of it all. We need to have that discussion. Mental health. Why aren't we talking about mental health? We're talking now. People have compared Will Smith to Trump, to Putin, but I posted several videos of lynchings, of white people calling race riots, destroying whole towns because they could not stand to see Black people happy, not just surviving, but thriving. And we pretend in this country that somehow white people have a moral high ground. Why do we even entertain that sort of thing? They have no moral high ground. How we exist is how we should exist, without regard for their gaze and what they think of us. We need to get over that. We have to get over that. And I'm tired of this whole conversation that we have every time one Black person goes off. Like every Black person in this whole entire world ought not be going off at some point in their life. Like if it wasn't for our graciousness, if it wasn't for our hearts, for the purity of our mind, that this whole country wouldn't look like the Middle East as we see it on the news, as they present it on the news. Like Black people in this country shouldn't be almost extinct from the idea that we need vengeance. And that would be a totally reasonable, a reasonable response according to white people if we were going to have that conversation. So let's get that whole thing out of the way. The idea that we should care one way or the other what a white person think any day of the week, any hour of the day, any minute in that hour. No. Let's remove that foolishness right out of the way. If we're having a bonnet discussion, women, I don't need to hear what white people think. I don't give a crap what a white person thinks. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And I mean that from the bottom of my soul. I wish I would consider a white person's opinion on any matter regarding my race. Like this world ain't operating under the graciousness of black people who have decided to try to belong and make ourselves whole one way or the other. And like we have not succeeded in stellar fashion. I wish I would consider a white person's opinion on any matter. Oh, I'm getting upset about it. I said I wasn't going to curse in this one. I'm going to try my best not to curse in this one because, you know, regard for people. Let's get that out of the way. Let's make this very plain before I move forward. Let's start with a baseline. White people's opinion does not matter ever. Not ever. At all. Period. Their opinion matters only when it's regard to my paycheck and my money. And because they have the power, they have to be considered in those areas. When it comes to morality, I wish MF would. You can't tell me nothing. Not one thing. So when they start clutching, oh my God, Will Smith slapped Chris, and oh my God, the clutching of and oh, what the violence and the baby, if you don't shut up when violence is done in your name on a daily basis. Ahmaud Arbery was killed because some misguided white men thought they were protecting whiteness. Baby, we ain't doing this with you in the year of our Black Jesus, 2022. We're not doing it with you. So let's get that out of it. I just need to make that perfectly clear. I wish a white person would come up in here talking about, well, he was wrong. You shut your mouth. Close it tightly. Now we got that out of the way. Mental health, y'all. Ain't nobody talking about that man is broken. He's broken. I have theories for why. One thing about what people don't recognize about Will Smith, I feel, this is my reading of the thing. He's a very sensitive and vulnerable human being. And in this world as a black man, that's a hard thing to be. One thing I noted in all of this mess, what I've learned, one of the things I've learned is black men, the so-called good ones, the ones that are trying, will feign unbotheredness. Because to consider the whole matter would mean they might kill everything in sight. From the sheer rage of what they are seen as, from the idea of what they've been made to be. James Baldwin said, in paraphrasing, he said to be relatively conscious in this country as a black person is to be in a perpetual rage. So many of our men just pretend like they're not bothered. I don't know what the problem was. I mean, I don't know why he would do that. I don't know what the problem was. It wasn't even that serious, When you try to have the discussion of why are y'all doing? Why are you allowing these men who hate themselves to do that to us? Because they are in a rage. And there's a way, and each one decides how that rage will manifest. I can't remember who wrote the poem. I believe it was, I think it was, what was his name? Richard Wright. I think it was Richard Wright who wrote the poem, A Dream Deferred. And in all that poem, he demonstrates each way that rage manifests among Black people. There's a festering rage. There is a sweet, sugary rage. That Christianity, that sugary Christianity, that we're all, when it's all over, I shall wear a crown. Then there's the rage that explodes. And if you want an example of that, just look right at the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. The idea that until my dying day, I will oppose you. You will know that I am here. Each day you will hear bombs blasting. Each day you will have to look over your shoulder. You will not exist in peace. But we don't do that. We choose either the sugariness or we choose the apathy. And if it explodes at all, it explodes on one another. It's unacceptable how we've been living, and allowing the rest of the world to live at our expense is out of order. And these are all things that I have considered in this whole slap heard around the world. Yeah. Mental health, spiritual healing, deep spiritual, true spiritual healing, not the I've adjusted myself because I had a euphoric moment in church. And you're suppressing all manner of emotion and anger that are healthy. That's another thing. That's the next line. Why do we as Black people think that our way of being is not healthy or normal? We are the most normal. People look at Chicago, oh my God, that's abnormal. That is normal. For what we are going through, for what this world is, that is normal. People would act like we are just kind of wandering around behaving in a uncivilized fashion. And now I want to have a word about civilization and civilized also. Like we're just kind of wandering around in an uncivilized fashion and we are just abnormal. Baby, we are the most normal people in this world. They're being violent, and look at the violence, look at the violence. If I had people doing violence in my name out of my sight, I could sit on a throne also and clutch my pearls about whoever's doing violence in my sight. Because you're being preserved from it. Shut your mouths. We're the most normal race in the world. And matter of fact, I'm going to say this and I'm going to offend some people. We've let the babies take over. Okay? And they have brought us to the brink of total destruction. But they want to have a conversation with me about violence. If you don't get out of my face, I'm going to need you to go away from me and consider yourself. I forgot my train of thought. But I do want to speak on also, did we notice how Will Smith went up and administered that slap? It was disturbing to me as I considered it later on and was watching. He was very kind of technical. Like he went up if you notice, he went up. He had this hand up, and y'all excuse my nails. I'm trying to learn to do them myself, and they just been popping off. He just kind of went up, and he had this hand like this way, and he kind of, and he pulled the slab. He didn't go all the way through, but it is, he considered it, and he just went up and pow. And he stepped. He kind of, and he read whether Chris Rock was going to come to, and he read that, and I read it also. And people who read energy well are empaths who can see people, who read people very well. You could see that Chris Rock was not going to try to retaliate at all. He quickly assessed the situation, turned around, and came back. The technical way he did that disturbed me because he had determined, and people said he was laughing. He was laughing because he thought that that was what they were going to do. We're going to pretend like it's not bothering us when we get back. He was going to, when I get backstage, But Jada couldn't pretend that. See, people don't realize, and I could tell she's been pretending that she is the strong woman, and I'm going to handle this, and I can do that. The main, and people don't know, the main reason why Will is with Jada is because she does not, her energy is that I don't feel like, I don't need protecting. And because he grew up with his mother and feeling like he could not protect her. See, these are subconscious ways we draw one another in our trauma. But the way that he did that disturbed me because he understood, okay, oh my God, in his mind, it's my mama all over again, and I must. And he had immersed himself in that role, and he has not come out of it. He has a habit of that. Mental health. That is a mental health thing. It was disturbing when I look back at it. Because I saw that he assessed, okay, this is what I have to do. No, baby, that ain't what you have to do. But now that he's done it, and Chris Rock's mouth was on the back of his head, and so that people had to go around him so that they could hear what he had to say. I'm sorry, I just don't have any sympathy for him. Although I admire how he handled it. I'll say that for it. But keep your mouths off of us. That's I keep coming back to that. So, my next thing is that, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? He slapped in that way. It was very technical. But now we have to now deal with this, yes, the fallout of the matter. And the fallout is quite reasonable. Last I heard, he'd resigned from the academy. All righty. Perfectly reasonable. Yes, consequences. Consequences for our actions. Yes, my goodness, by all means. But this whole thing where we're going to Tiger Woods him. I still am. And y'all, I'm fixing to get vulgar with y'all right now. So gird your loins. Get your pearls, clutch them. Guard your precious ears. But I want to talk about the Tiger Woods situation. And I call what's happening with Will Smith now and these white people the Tiger Woods, because I don't know how you gonna have an affair with a whole married man, and then have the nerve to sit up beside an attorney and demand an apology because he screwed you. Where they doing that at? Madam, you have had sex with the whole entire married man, and you have the nerve. Oh, this is the gall. This is the gall we're working with when we're talking about this collective of white people. I'm sorry, we got to have this conversation. You gonna sit up beside a lawyer and attorney and say that you deserve an apology for having one leg in the east and one leg in the west with a married man. That's the gall that we're dealing with. And I'm going to need these black people who have this power to speak on these matters, to commentate, to start adding some nuance to this thing. Because I'm tired of these people hopping up, especially Stephen Smith, hopping up. How about some nuance? When white people do things, we get nuance. When a whole man and went up and shot innocent people, killed them. He had been struggling with mental health issues for some time. And how many times y'all gonna go for the okie doke? How many times are y'all gonna go for the okie doke? That's something on my lip. Y'all wait a minute. How many times? This issue deserves nuance. If any other issue deserves nuance, this one does. And y'all sitting up there talking, I just want to condemn it altogether, baby. No. We're not doing that. Violence, because human beings are animals, violence is necessary for order. If some people don't act right unless you threaten them with violence. That's what the death penalty is. That's what prison is. And can we talk about the different forms of violence? Excuse me with the song. Can we talk about the different forms of violence? Physical violence is not the only violence. And that's why I say we're the most normal, because we are the most aware of our emotions. And we are the most able to express them. Honestly. We are. Because this idea of being civilized is just some fake new form of violence. It is not authentic. When I can't come to work without you doing some passive aggressive mess, when I can't make a mistake without you making me out to be a demon, you are violent. And you are violent in all areas. Physical, mental, spiritual, and otherwise. You are violent. History shows you as physically violent. The present shows you as physically violent, thinking you can walk up on some black person that's minding their business and require something of them, and they are supposed to give it to you. Fuck that. That is violence. And you don't get to tell me how I should behave when I feel violated. So we're not gonna do it. We're not going to do it. We're going to have a nuanced conversation about this. I am. That is what's missing. Grace is not extended to us. And then we don't extend it to ourselves. And that is where I come back full circle to black men regarding black women. They can have grace for everybody else, but they can't find none for us. And I think of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and Chadwick Boseman's last performance that, tearing up about it. He was, that his character was so helpless against the system and the order of the world. And he didn't feel like he had the right to kill that white man that had cheated him. So he went downstairs and killed a man who was basically his brother. We extend grace to this world, but the world don't extend grace to us. And that's what I've learned from that slap. Where is our grace? Save it be from the Lord. Where is our grace? That's what I learned from the slap. And yes, I celebrated the slap as a victory. And people, he wasn't protecting all black women, but what I know that the CIA knows, the FBI knows, all of them know. Symbols are more powerful than words. You had a whole industry, which is the Hollywood industry, which is built on narcissists and wanting to be seen and lies and fakery. That industry has made America the envy of the world. It is propaganda. But it's made America the envy of the world. Symbols mean a lot. So when I saw Will Smith go up there and slap that man because he saw the pain that was in his wife, I saw it as a symbol for black men protecting black women. And symbols are powerful. So I need to know what y'all learned from the slap. What did y'all learn from the slap? My God. And I pray for Will and his family because they are in a place, and I wonder, is there any water in that desert? They need some emotional and mental therapy and support because, see, Jada is weakened because she is so disturbed by, she can't control, you could tell she likes to control things. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, when you've been through what she's been through, you're going to develop some stuff. Because she's weakened, the family is weakened, and that's why you saw Will go up there like that. He's yeah. That's my theory, and I think that's what's contributing. Um, there's a lot more that I would like to talk about, but I want to go ahead and wrap it up. It could go on all night. I had one train of thought that I wanted to follow, but I can't remember what it is. Okay, because I'm elderly. I'm old and infirm. All right, y'all. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another, and start considering what's going on in this world. Because the lies and deceit that we have been laboring under. My God. All right. Y'all take care. Thank you, Miss Connie Parker Glass.